is 10 to 12, but due to you know work, so I got to work today at my office, so that was why I moved it towards evening. And by the time I closed and all, I'm starting a little bit late, so please forgive me. And once again, I apologize to everyone here. I'm not going to take too much of our time. What I would do is I just want to ensure that the date is being kept. So once it's time, I would stop and we can continue. But I just wanted us to start. I hope you understand, please. All right. So please, without wasting time, let's move on. Welcome, ladies. Once again, my name is Oluwatosin Anishere. For anyone that's just joining or watching this video for the first time, um, I'm MCT, and I'm also a mentor here for textilers. All right, our usual house rules. If you have questions, kindly raise your hand using the icon of raise your hand, or you can put your question in the meeting chat if you don't want to speak. And if you're not speaking, kindly mute your mic so that we don't disturb others, please. Today, we would go on to a topic which is centered around security. So over time, we've for this fundamental Azure fundamental, the last thing we did was with Azure solutions, where we looked at IoTs, Kubernetes, and some other services. So for this week, what we'll be looking at, our center focus will be on security. So the outline for this particular module is to understand what are the Azure security features, like the Key Vault, Azure Sentinel, dedicated host, and we'll also look at the Azure network security, which we have the defense in-depth network security group, firewall, and DDoS protection. So we'll be understanding these things on the basics. So let's move on, please. So we'll be starting with the security tools and features. And here, our objective is to understand, we'll be able to describe the features and functionalities of the Azure Security Center, including the policy, compliance, security alert, secure score, and resource hygiene. And also look at what Azure Sentinel is, the Key Vault, the Azure dedicated. So these are the topics under this particular lesson, security tools and features. Okay, so to make it interactive, before I go into this slide, uh, let me just ask, what do you understand by security? When we mention the word security, what comes to mind, please? Ladies, I'm just trying to make this interactive. When you hear the word security, what comes to mind? Anyone?
Yes. Good evening.
Oh, good evening.
Yeah, so security is just a state of being free from threat, if I'll put it that way. Threat or danger.
Oh, okay. Yes, I can. I agree to what you have said. It's just to get, you know, that idea. So, the way we have security for everything, we equally have security for cloud. And Microsoft have done so well to, invest so much with regards to security, such that people can have that peace that their resources or data on the cloud is well secured. And we have tools, for this security measure, which one of it is ASC. So the ASC is the Azure Security Center. Now, this ASC is a unified infrastructure security management system. What it does is it strengthens the security posture of our data center, and it also provides us with this advanced threat protection across our hybrid workload. That is for those of us who have the on-premises and cloud together. So it helps us with that um, threat protection across. So whether you are in Azure or you're on your own premises, yes, this Azure Security Center helps us with that. Just like what we have on the screen is saying the AS is a monitoring service that provides threat protection across both Azure and on-premises data center. So basically, that's the essence of this tool. And what it does is it helps us, it provides security, recommendations to us. It gives us like recommendation on the portal, letting us know the things to do in order to be proactive, or the things to do to be reactive. Probably the danger has occurred already and what you can do to mitigate such issues. So it's on the portal and it will bring you all these recommendations or like a kind of advice. It also does the detect and block malware. So from the Azure Security Center, it will be able to detect any form of threats whatsoever, whether it's malware or virus or DDoS attack, which we are still going to talk about. It's going to immediately detect it, point it out, and block such which I'm sure we can take our minds or our ideas to our personal PC where we have to load antivirus. The essence of loading antivirus is such that if any activity is being carried out on our personal system, it immediately notify a threat. And this a lot most of us here can relate to it. Maybe you're trying to use a flash, to copy a file or something. Now, your antivirus, which you have installed on your system, will immediately act to scan to just to find out and detect if there's a virus and act against it. That kind of idea is what I'll need you to relate with this. So the ACS, or sorry, ASC, as the Azure Security Center, will immediately do this detection and it will block against malware. It will also analyze and identify, potential threats. So that's another thing that it does. It provides this just-in-time access control for ports. So these are the things that the Azure security does, but it's not limited to this. I can say that the ASC addresses like three most important urgent security challenges, and that's usually when it has to do with rapid changing workload. It's that's another thing this ASC does. Or when there's increasing, sophisticated attack, yes, the ASC, keeps when it keeps getting the sophisticated attack and all, one can actually use this device, the ASC here, to to work for it, because these are the common things, these are the common attacks that bring about security challenges. When there's change of workload, rapid change of workload, it's like a threat. When there's increasing sophisticated attack, there's always one attack that is being, like that evolves over time, and that's the essence of cyber security. Because the more you're trying to build a defense, or you're trying to get a solution in order to mitigate issue, there's also we also have this new attacks that keeps coming up. So these are kind of challenges that happens. We also have um, this number of security alert systems. So these things are like the challenges that we have, and the ASC is sure to this tool provides us with disadvantages that we see here. It helps us to strengthen our security posture. It protects us against threats, and it helps us to get secure faster. So it's actually a very good tool that Microsoft rely on and use, from time to time. When it comes to using this ASE on Azure, they have their pricing tier. So that's our pricing tier. We have the free tier, we have the standard tier, and this based on whether you're using free or standard, it's there's a limit to what it can do. Of course, the standard will give you the full holistic feature and all. Then the free would not do, everything that you may require it to do. Um, so the walkthrough, I think I'll just push it towards the end. I don't know if we have any question with regards to ASC. It's actually something broad, but don't forget that what we are doing currently is fundamentals, basic. So I may not be going deep dive in order not to confuse us. However, please, if you have question, please go ahead to ask your question. I will do so to answer you before moving on. Any question, please? All right, so I think Victoria, please go ahead. I think I see your hand up.
No, I rose my hand up when I wanted to reply your first question.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I must have mistaken. No problem. In the absence of no question, we can move on. But please, if there's any question, we can drop it in the meeting chat, or we can ask any question whatsoever, please. All right. So let's talk about the Azure Security Center capabilities. It's similar to what I was explaining earlier. Now we have the policy compliance. The Azure Security Center runs policy across all the levels that we have at the level right from management group down to security. I'm sorry, down to subscription, down to resource group, down to resources, those level. Yes, you can run policies, you can run policies across this scope. So you have the management group, subscription, or even the tenant. That's the roots as a whole. Now you can do continuous assessments with the Azure Security Center. So those are the capabilities, these are the features, the things it can do, such that you are able to assess and deploy resources to ensure that they are configured properly. Another one is tailored recommendation. We do so well with alerts. So it can give you, alerts to let you know that okay, there is that's either detected something rather on the ASC portal, or is trying to give us like a solution to mitigate maybe an issue that has occurred based on the policy that is being set. So yes, this recommendation is actually based on the workloads you have with instruction on how to implement them. And we lastly have the threat protection. So the ASA helps to analyze threats through the alert and impacted resource reports. So yeah, these are basically the capacities it has. So when you're using the Azure Security Center, there's usually a need, or there's a recommendation for you to have a policy. By default, when you have this Azure Security Center, by default, all prevention policies are turned on by default. So the prevention policies and the recommendation, they're basically tied to each other. So what I'm trying to say is that in case you enable the prevention policy is enabled, maybe something like OS vulnerability, for instance, that's in a situation probably you have enabled some policies um on the portal and all. Now, depending on the Azure resource that you have deployed for that policy, the Azure Security Center automatically creates a default security policy for each of your Azure subscription. And that was why in the beginning I said by default, all prevention policies are turned on. So these are the capabilities that the Azure features, provide to us. So in here, we also have Azure Sentinel. This is new, this is interesting, and this is wide. So although I won't be going deep dive, but I'll still explain for us to understand now. The Azure Sentinel is scalable cloud native so that security information event management, that's what we call SIEM, and it does security orchestration, automation, response. That's the solution that Azure Sentinel provides. In essence, the Azure Sentinel delivers a kind of intelligent security analytics and threat intelligence across our tenants, across the enterprise, giving us like a form of single solution for the alert detection, the threat visibility, you know, making it acts as a proactive measure for hunting and the threat response. That's what the Azure Sentinel does. And you can have uh, connectors and integration like that of the Office 365, the Azure Active Directory, Azure Advanced Threat Protection, Microsoft Cloud App Security. Okay, now the Azure Sentinel offers some kind of if I can put it this way, limitless cloud scale and speed in order to address any security need whatsoever. And that's why it's a service that it's been utilized commonly across big organizations, or should I say enterprise organization, whether it's financial sector or all this sector that are concerned about security. So Azure Sentinel is a solution for that. So um, it enables different services, like just like what we have this diagram that we have here on the screen. So we have for um, when you say collect security data across your enterprise. So what it does is it will collect data at this cloud scale across all users, all devices, application and infrastructure, both on our on-premises and cloud. Even if we have multiple cloud, it will collect all those data. Now once it collects, what it does again is it can detect. So like we have on the screen here, it says detect threat with vast threat intelligence. So in essence, it will detect maybe previously undetected threats. Then it will now minimize the false positive of those threats using Microsoft analytics, and this unparalleled threat intelligence. So that's what it does. And once it does the detection, like you detect something and you try to investigate what you've just found out. So the Azure Sentinel will investigate the threat using AI. That's it guides that by the AI, which is the artificial intelligence, and it will hunt for maybe any suspicious activity that has taken place at scale, you know, trying to deep dive or tapping into the cybersecurity works at Microsoft. So it does that in-depth investigation, and once it's investigating to find out what the issue is, it will respond. So it will respond to this incident like very rapidly. So it will respond with some kind of built-in orchestration and automation for this common task. So actually have a video that we can watch to with regards to Azure Sentinel. It's not a long video. It's to just drive home the point of what I have said better. Um, I don't know if we have any question while I try to bring up that video. Any question, please? Okay. Azure Sentinel is actually a very interesting one. It's like very new, service. I could put it that way, and it's something that most big organization are making use of. A service that they're making use of. 1 minute while I bring up the video, please. All right, and I may have to reshare my screen such that you let me know once you're able to hear me, please. Okay. I want to reshare properly, and please do let me know once you see my screen. Okay. Please, are you able to see my screen and hear the audio?
Take a look at Microsoft Azure Sentinel, our new cloud-native SIEM service with built-in AI for analytics that removes the cost and complexity of achieving a central and focused near real-time view of the active threats in your environment.
Yes.
And just like any other service in Azure,
Thank
the
you.
service scales automatically to your needs. Azure Sentinel works by correlating the security logs and signals from all sources across your apps, services, infrastructure, networks, and users, whether they reside on premises, in Azure, or any other cloud. Our built-in AI leverages Microsoft Threat Intelligence that analyzes trillions of signals every day. And our machine learning models, refined through decades of security experience, filter through the noise from alerts, drilling into and analyzing thousands of anomalous events to return a view of threats that really require your attention. For example, here in the overview dashboard, we give you a bird's-eye perspective of the events going on in your environment. You can see how many events were collected, active cases and their status, as well as trends across events and cases. We also leverage built-in AI capabilities in Azure to detect anomalies in events from different sources. And by leveraging signals from Microsoft Threat Intelligence, Azure Sentinel identifies attacks based on your data and places them on a map so you can analyze malicious traffic. To get to Azure Sentinel, just search for it in the Azure portal. One tip here, to store your activity logs, you'll need to use an existing workspace or create a new one to get going. Then, to get started, you'll first need to connect your security sources. In the data collection page, we have a number of connectors for Microsoft solutions available out of the box, including Microsoft Threat Protection Solutions. And we're working with a broader security ecosystem to create built-in connectors for non-Microsoft solutions. Of course, you can use common event format, syslog, or REST API to connect your data sources with Azure Sentinel as well. For example, here I want to connect Azure Active Directory. I can use the connector, and in just a few clicks, I can get sign-in and audit logs directly from Azure AD. You can additionally choose from a gallery of expertly created dashboards that surface insights based on your data. These dashboards can be easily customized to your needs as well. Now, Azure Sentinel leverages the proven foundation of Azure Monitor, with more than 10 petabytes of log data ingested daily. As a security analyst, once your data sources are connected, you can start analyzing your data with a rich query language that enables you to create advanced and complex queries in just a few lines. Let's run a simple query to monitor my firewall trends week over week. Once it returns the results, I can easily visualize them by selecting a chart type. And now I can see a week over week trend of my firewall logs. I can also leverage built-in analytics and machine learning in Azure to detect anomalies. Here I'm analyzing the amount of sign-in logs in the last 24 hours. The arrow on the chart points to anomalies found by the service. Let's click on it to learn more. We can see that the machine learning algorithm found a pattern that correlates with the spike we have seen, and generated a query automatically to decipher why this point in time was different compared to normal patterns, all without me having to write a complex query. Now, another area that you may spend a lot of your time is in our cases page, which case is a container filled with alerts, and any case is generated by an alert. And these can come from several sources, such as security solutions that you have connected to Azure Sentinel, correlation rules that you may have set up to detect specific activities, or anomalies flagged by our machine learning models. You can also manage the full lifecycle of the case and its associated alerts. You can assign cases to an individual or a group on your team with the expertise to investigate these alerts. You can update the status of the alert, and you can also change the severity based on your findings. Next, you can use the investigation tool that helps you understand the scope and identify the root cause of a potential security threat. In the graph, we can see a user and a host related to this alert. Now you can select an entity and ask Azure Sentinel to analyze the data, to find additional insights and connections on the entities extracted from these alerts. In this example, I will ask Azure Sentinel to show me all the related alerts to this specific user. Once it gets the results, I can see all the connections between the entities associated with this specific user. I can also ask Azure Sentinel to get me all the top 5 hosts that this specific user logged into in the last 24 hours. You can see that the graph really helps me to understand the scope of the attack. Beyond investigation, you can also build and run security playbooks to automate security operations against a given alert. Azure Sentinel is natively integrated with the Azure portal, which allows you to take advantage of built-in services. Playbooks can be triggered on demand for a given alert by selecting the Run button. Or you can configure real-time automation while authoring a correlation rule by selecting which playbooks should run automatically when an alert is being fired. Playbooks are simple to create in the Logic Apps Designer, and there are no developer skills required. I've already created one that you can see here, which creates an incident in our ticketing system, which in this case happens to be ServiceNow. It will then post a message to the SOC channel in Microsoft Teams, generate and send an approval email that gives an elected person the ability to decide using interactive buttons for the appropriate action. In this case, if the user approves, the playbook will block the user in Azure AD and add a rule to my firewall that blocks this malicious IP. Users are entities you need to monitor closely. Therefore, Azure Sentinel seamlessly integrates with Azure Advanced Threat Protection to analyze your users' behavior and prioritize which users you should investigate first, based on their alerts and suspicious activity patterns from Azure Sentinel and Microsoft 365. When selecting a user, you can view a clear, efficient, and convenient timeline that surfaces the alerts and activities associated with the selected user. Of course, the threat investigation doesn't have to be a reactive type of activity. You can take more proactive measures to preempt threats too. In our hunting page, you can find pre-built queries crafted by Microsoft security experts to start hunting for new anomalies and security threats across your organization logs. Azure Sentinel also integrates with Azure Notebooks, which is based on the popular Jupyter Notebooks, which allows you to automate common investigative steps, such as gathering additional information around process creation events. You can also query Azure Sentinel data about users, machines, IPs, or any other entities, and enrich it with other services to visualize the results. Finally, you can also use Azure Sentinel Community, where you can share and consume content for Azure Sentinel. Content can be dashboards, detection rules, hunting queries, playbooks, and much more. So that was a quick overview of Azure Sentinel, our new cloud-native SIEM service with built-in AI for analytics that removes the cost and effort to achieve a central and focused near real-time view of the active threats in your environment. It's in preview today, so try it for yourself, and you can learn more in the link shown. Thanks for watching.
All right. I know that's a short video, and in essence, it's just giving us an idea of this Azure Sentinel. Let's not overthink it, please. It's not. It's just part of the to know. I've talked about ASC, the Azure Security Center. This is also new. We have the Azure Sentinel. So, uh, it incorporates log like analytics, logical. It just helps. If you notice, it enriches for investigation and detection using AI. If you remember from the video, as the guy was clicking to investigate further, there is this graph that was kind of zooming out for you to see clearly, in the graphical feature. So it provides Microsoft Threat Intelligence stream, and to enable you to even bring your own threat intelligence. So it's something very interesting to use, and it's one of the tools that is being used, for security, for our cloud security. So one of the service that Microsoft has provided. So that video is just to give us further insight about it, but let's not stress ourselves too much. We're just talking about the tools that we use for security measures. We have the likes of ASA, and Azure Sentinel is also one of them. I don't know if we have any question before I move further, please. Any question? Okay, so I think I'll take your silence as no question for now. All right, let's talk about Azure Key Vault. Key Vault is another interesting, service within Azure. When it comes to Key Vault, it helps us to safeguard, our keys and secrets that the cloud application and services use. When I say secrets, it's like saying passwords, you know. On the screen here, it's saying stores application secrets in a centralized cloud location in order to securely control access permission and access login. So in a simple way, just saying that it helps safeguard, it helps, safeguard these cryptographic keys, secrets that the cloud application and services use. Not just that, the key vault also, streamlines some kind of key management process, and it will now enable you to be able to maintain, controls of your key that access and encrypt your data. So that's another beauty or another thing that Azure Key Vault does. So Azure Key Vault is a kind of security tool. Okay, it's a kind of security as well. So like I said, it will help us protect our keys, our secret. We even have certificates too, in a situation whereby you're not just using a secret or keys, whether you're using certificate, it's also, protect our certificate too. So how it protects certificate is it will help because the certificate is usually a requirement for private key that is associated with the certificate. So it will help us protect that. And secrets password in simple terms. The password, the connection strings. When we say strings, the letter. So whether it's alphanumeric symbol or whatever, they're just password in simple terms. So this, as simple as that, that's what the key vault does. It protects either the keys or the secret or certificate. It protects them in the cloud. So once you are storing, sensitive data or maybe business critical data, you can uh, do well to make use of the Azure Key Vault for this protection. Okay, so the part of the features of the Azure Key Vault are what we can see on the screen: security management. Now you can use the Azure Key Vault to securely store and tightly control access to, tokens or to password or to certificate or APIs or even other secrets. So that's what you can use the security management to do. So that's in essence what the Key Vault help us to address. Now, besides the secret management, it also does key management. Now, for the key management, you can use this Azure Key Vault as a form of key management solution, which it will make it very easy for you to create and control some kind of encryption key, and you can use this to encrypt your data. So that's another advantage, or should I say benefit, that the Key Vault provide. Don't forget that what we are basically talking about today is centered around security, and how best you can make use of this security is what we are talking about right now. We also have certificate management. Now, this Key Vault as well helps us to, provision or maybe even manage and deploy certificates. So for the certificate, we'll have the likes of SSL certificate or TLS certificate. That SSL is the secure socket layer, and TLS is transport layer security. These two that I've just mentioned, we refer to them as digital certificate, a digital certificate. So with the certificate management, we can easily provision, we can easily manage, we can easily deploy, whether it's a public certificate or private certificate, using either SSL or TLS certificate within Azure, or maybe our internal connected resources. And finally, we have on the screen here storing secret backend by hardware security module. Now, these secret and keys can be protected either by software, and we have this software like FIPS. I'm sorry if I'm mentioning, some things that are a bit, above. I just want us to understand, like this address security module, the HSM, what validates, those software that is being used. And this is with regards to Key Vault. So for Key Vault, there are some kind of practices that one can use with the Key Vault. We can use using this Key Vault, you can actually grant access to users in your environment, or access to group in your environment, or even access to application at a specific scope. Remember our scope when using RBAC. We've talked about RBAC before, in this training. That's the role-based access control, where we can grant access to user to manage the key vault, or we can even assign like a predefined role key vault, maybe a defined role, maybe like key vault contributor, can give that role to a particular user, or we can give that role to a group, based on the scope that you're defining. Also, with Key Vault, you can control what your users can have access to. Still basically, when you're having access to Key Vault, when your access to Key Vault is being controlled through maybe separate entities, you can have that. And again, it is still centered around the use of RBAC. You still use this RBAC to control what your users can have access to. Let's take, for instance, let's say you kind of want to grant access to an application. You have an application and you want to grant an application access to use the keys inside the Key Vault. Don't forget that your Key Vault, you can use it to store, application secret as well. So you have that kind of thing. So what you need to do is you just need to grant, some kind of data plane access permission by using this Key Vault itself. And the Key Vault, you can have access policy. You can have a Key Vault access policy. So that's basically what is needed that you can use. Now you can also, it's still centered around these secrets, keys, certificates, and also using the HSM model. So yes, these are the things that we use Azure Key Vault for. So we have a walkthrough here that we expected to do, and like I said, so I know I have 2 minutes more based on the time frame that we have given, and I promise not to take too much of our time. Okay, but then permit me to talk about, this Azure dedicated host, before I call it a day. I promise I won't take too long. Okay, now for Azure dedicated host, the Azure dedicated host usually provides, physical servers that are host to one or more Azure virtual machines that is dedicated to a single organization workload. Now, what do I mean by that? On Azure, on the VMs on Azure, they run on shared hardware that Microsoft manages. That's how the VM works. Now, this underlying hardware that I mentioned is shared, which means your VM workload are isolated from one workload that other Azure customer run. So some organization, maybe based on compliance, or maybe based on regulatory compliance and all, they require that um, it may require them that only them should be using a physical machine that hosts the VM. So it is in that instance that we have the Azure dedicated hosts. I don't know if you're getting me. And this is what now provides some kind of dedicated physical servers to host our VM. It can either be for Windows or for Linux. Okay, and it has the benefit, just like what we can see here on the screen. We have this hardware isolation at the server level. We can control over maintenance, event timing, aligned with Azure hybrid use benefits. So these are like some kind of benefits. So the benefits gives you visibility into your environment, control over the security infrastructure that is running in your Azure VM. That's another benefit besides what we have here on the screen. Now it helps address compliance requirement, just like I mentioned the essence why we have this Azure dedicated host. So it helps address some kind of compliance requirement by deploying workloads on isolated server. Okay, and of course it lets you choose maybe the number of your processor or your server capability or your VM series, just the normal way that you would have to purchase VM, and you choose your different series or capability of features. Now you can do the same thing within the Azure dedicated hosts. Okay. I don't know if we have any question. I can always stop here. Next week, hopefully, we will have our full time and we'll be able to continue from where we stopped. I hope that's okay by us, please. Any question? Ladies, any question, please? Or maybe I should ask you, would you like me to complete the slide? No, the topic for today. Do you mind?
No, we can continue the next class because I was
Oh,
actually waiting somewhere for the class to hold.
okay, thank you. That's the more reason why I was hoping to stop here. I was just asking for your permission to see what you would like. All right, thank you very much, ladies, and thanks for your understanding as well. Like I said, I had to work today, and that's the reason why the class was pushed to evening, unlike the morning session that we usually have. So thank you once again for your understanding, and in the absence of no question, we will definitely continue from where we stopped. Don't forget, we are still talking about security, right? Thank you very much for your time, and we'll continue in the chat forum. Thank you all.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, please.